in-service. I kind of explained before the in-service is how we're doing the credits now, so.
I think we can do it.
Oh, you can't hear me? Okay. I'm far away.
Yeah.
I explained the credit hours, so there's not gonna be so much of a stress at the end of the year for you all to get that. So you'll get your credits for attending this in 3 instead of just the 2 and the 1 that you do. So we're also kind of focusing on what the state requires that we have to always annually train. There's a number of things. And one of them is abuse and neglect, fraud prevention, and our critical incident reporting and policy. So we're going to kind of go over this stuff. It may sound kind of technical, but it's kind of interesting. Things do change. Like they just came out with a September 2020 study on abuse and neglect, like because people always think it's the workers, but it's not. I mean, 65% of the perpetrators they found in Pennsylvania just this month, 2020 study, is family members. And only 15% would be caregivers or others, and that doesn't mean just hired caregivers, that means caregivers the family may have, so that was refreshing to hear.
It will be even worse after this stuff start coming out.
Well, the problem we're having is we're so good here about reporting everything and doing everything right, but with COVID going on, offices are working from home. We had a case that was very, very serious that we called protective services, and that the waiver program's been taken over by MCOs, which are insurance companies. They're no longer done by the counties, unfortunately, because they were terrific. They're working from home, so we can't even get a hold of them. We're notifying of this person's condition. Nothing's been done. Protective services to get out there, so it's just a really tough situation right now. But the reporting we're responsible for, so it's very, very important. So what is abuse? Anybody tell me what abuse is? What would be considered abuse? We're going to be working from this printout with the yellow that says abuse on it first. So basically, the broad definition of abuse is an act or omission that willfully deprives a person of rights or human dignity and causes actual physical injury or emotional harm. They say call it a participant, but it's really a person, including a critical incident and one more of the following. We'll be going over what critical incidences are, but abuse and neglect is a critical incident. So that means it must be reported to us, and we must have very strict guidelines on how we report it to the state, to the county, to the insurance company that's running the waiver program. So we have all this reporting to do. That's why it's so important that you report to us. So we're talking sexual harassment of a consumer, sexual contact between a staff member and a consumer, restraining a consumer, financial exploitation, which is very big right now, humiliating a participant, and also withdrawing regularly scheduled meals from a participant, but it doesn't stop there. So if you notice abuse and neglect from a family member or someone you're taking care of, make sure you contact us. We'll look into that. It's a very big topic right now. So an occurrence or an event that jeopardizes a participant's health or welfare is a critical incident. And that includes death, of course, serious injury, or hospitalization of a person. Now, pre-planned hospitalization because somebody needs to go to the hospital for their diagnosis is different. That's not a critical incident. But that's why it's really important that if on your shift someone goes to the hospital, especially the waiver clients, we have to report that immediately within 24 hours. So if you're ever in a shift and someone goes to the hospital, please call us, because we have to send reports into the state system, we have to contact the insurance companies, we have to contact the counties. And if not, we can be in big trouble. And they also can use that against you. So that's what's really important about that. They say provider, staff member misconduct, including deliberate, willful, unlawful, and dishonest activities. So they have now included theft, or accusations of theft as part of abuse. They consider that abuse. If they can prove that someone stole from somebody or mishandled their funds, that now falls under abuse and neglect and is called a critical incident. abuse including infliction of injury, unreasonable confinement, intimidation, punishment, or mental anguish. And it also includes, of course, physical abuse, psychological abuse, sexual abuse, even verbal abuse. Neglect is a big thing, and that's usually from the family member, because you're going in and realizing that person hasn't eaten, there's no food in this refrigerator, they're dehydrated, so that's very important too. And we have to report it, and we've had some very frustrating cases because we have, but the person still had the self-determination where they would come out and say, I'm okay, because they were either scared or didn't have anywhere else to go, so they didn't want to say, my son's not taking my money, or my son's taking my money and selling drugs, or my son's not buying me food, you know. So it's very difficult, but the reporting's important. It may take a few people to do that, but we have to get it on record to actually get that person some help, unless they'll come out and say, yes, I'm neglected. Oftentimes they're too scared to say that, unfortunately. And exploitation, which is basically financial exploitation. Signing, that's why we don't sign other people's checks or go to the bank and have them sign checks to us. That's totally forbidden, because that would be considered, you know, financial abuse. But the one really interesting thing is that most people don't know is service interruption, which is an event that results in the person's ability to receive services in the places the participant's health or welfare at risk. So we agree to take a case, and we're contracted to do that. So if we don't go out there, someone didn't call us and say that I can't go out there, we couldn't find a replacement, we're responsible. So the service interruptions means that they're not getting the hours that were indicated. So we have people, I think Catherine was the most recent person, we have some people, oh, go home, you're done. I mean, that's all fine and good, but we can't do that. You have to call us and say they want me to go home. We talk to the client, and they can lose their services too. If someone's doing that, they can say, there's other people that need these services, they'll cut them back. So we try to reason with them that you could lose your services from this, but if they just say today, I really want this, that's fine, we just have to document. But were something to happen during those hours that we were supposed to be giving, and we went home, or they said you can go home, and we didn't know about it, we would be responsible. So that's why it's really important that you have to call us, is to be considered service interruption. And that's really hard now during COVID, because staffing is really difficult. You know, it's just been really, really difficult, you know. So when, you know, we're really good about covering our cases. We're really good. As you know, you probably get calls a lot, manipulating you around, can you go there, go here, or changing your schedules, but it's because it's so important for us to make sure that we're covering our cases, and it's for the safety of the client. You know, we're just a great agency. I think you always know we've always really cared about making sure our clients get, you know, the safety that they deserve. So I wanted to kind of go through you what we have to do. It's a critical incident management policy. So this is what is required of us, and it's something that we have to train our staff on annually. So notifications, I kind of highlighted the most important things. Notification of all incidents must be reported to VNA immediately. An incident report is to be completed by any employee who is a part of, witness, or becomes aware of circumstances indicative of an incident, critical incident like abuse and neglect or death or hospitalization, or unusual event. So if it's something where someone went to the hospital, there was a serious injury or death, and that is a critical incident, we have to report all that. But even if a client felt that they're okay and stuff, we have to put that on record. So I'm sure a lot of you had to go in the office and fill out a little incident report, but that's important for us because if something were to come of that later, and we don't have documentation of that, then we're in trouble. And the worker could be too. So, I mean, we have to always report. And they're finding that this is a problem. So they've even tightened the restrictions. So an incident is an unusual event, is defined as any event which is not consistent with the routine operation of our organization or the routine care of the client, which has potential legal aspects for us or may compromise client safety or care. So anything like a little fall that may compromise the client safety or care has to be reported so we have it documented. So that doesn't mean like they went to the hospital, they might say they're fine, they may have a little bruise, it may not have been your fault because you were doing the laundry when they did that, but we have to document that in case later one of the daughters or somebody else may say that, oh, she just wasn't even there, and all these kind of things. That's why we punch in and out, and that's why that's all really important. A critical incident is defined as an occurrence of an event that jeopardizes client health, safety, or welfare. So that includes, but is not limited to, death, serious injury, hospitalization, provider or staff misconduct, theft, financial exploitation, abuse, and or neglect. So what we have to do is document that to the Office of Long-Term Living, which is the state. We have to get a hold of care manager or service coordinator or both. We have to do all this within, it's actually 24 hours now. Well, it used to be 48 hours, but now it's 24. And remember, call 911 if it's emergent. Always report it to us, but when in doubt, we had somebody recently that didn't call 911 because they went upset the daughter or the son or whatever, but don't take that risk. You can always call 911. The person can always say, I don't want to go. Because if 911 comes, and we've done this many times, because we shouldn't pick anybody up off the floor because you could hurt yourself or you could hurt that person in the process. We don't know if they're bleeding internally or what may be going on with their health. So always call 911. We have a number of people who fall regularly and we do that, and they go, don't call 911. Just tell them to relax, that this is what we need to do. You don't have to go anywhere if you don't want, but they'll safely get you off the floor to sitting position or to your bed, whatever you would like. And a good EMT would encourage them if they're hurt, but if they say they don't want to go, they don't have to go anywhere. But at least we did our responsibility. Heaven forbid, that time period we were waiting for the family member to get there, that person died. You know, that would be then on our watch and on your watch, that you didn't call 911. They would say, why didn't you call 911 immediately? Because that could have saved their life. So that's how important it is about reporting. And we're being asked a lot of different questions now too. A few things have changed. So if anybody employee that's been witnessed or becoming aware of an incident or a critical incident or unusual event in the home, you have to contact us immediately by telephone. The person involved also has to come in and fill out an incident report so we can document that, correctly. Now, in instances of alleged abuse, neglect, exploitation, abandonment, we have to report to Adult Protective Services if they're under 60, and if they're 60 or older, it's older Adult Protective Services. You can do this yourself, but you really don't need to. If you call us, we have a direct line with them. So if you suspect that, let your supervisor know, unless it's emergent. If you go into that house and you see someone's been abused or neglected so badly that they're looking like not good, call 911 and then report it to us, because we don't want that person's life to be in jeopardy. That's what emergent is, where they may be in a position where it's a life-death situation. But if you're just suspecting abuse, like you notice that woman's been beaten even though she said she's okay, you call your supervisor, they can go and then, look into the facts of that and we can report it. So that it's always about the notifying. And this is a very hot topic, that's why we have to cover it all the time. I'm trying to do a little different with this so it's not the same thing all the time. But what's become more is that critical incidents involving someone from our agency, we have to do an investigation into that critical incident. And that may require, if they're implying that the employee may have been involved, that you would be suspended temporarily until the investigation's done, or may not be able to go into any more
With or without pay.
home and community-based programs. But that shouldn't happen if we're all documented and reported, because we did everything properly. I was asked some strange questions on my last audit, and one was that, so if our employee reports to us that our consumer's been exploited or neglected or abused by another, what steps do we take? And one is that the employee, if you expect someone's been abused, if emergent, like I said, call 911. If not, call us. You have to come in and fill out an incident report. and the RN will go out and investigate, and we take the next steps with protective services, which, like I said, is the process. It's usually not one time. We had a client recently who was just non-compliant with everything, living in her feces. It was terrible. We reported it, and Kim was on it and on it and on it, and we were on it, me and her, to everybody. And, you know, she finally got taken to the police because there were so many calls. And she went to rehab and died. But we tried, you know, to do that. But the reporting process is not always perfect, but we want our part to be, because we helped that woman, we stayed with that woman until she was taken away and just didn't leave her like that. So that's what's so important. Now, if somebody calls us and says they think that one of you have been involved in abuse and neglect, so what I would do first is tell them, if that's what you expect, call 911. Because 911 will come out. There's no, they work on facts. They have to have concrete evidence that you did that. Maybe there's nanny cams and stuff they had in Florida where they actually caught somebody doing that. But you have to have pretty substantial proof. And then we would do the same thing. We would conduct an investigation. We would have you come in, get your version, fill out a report of anything you saw in that home. And basically, I always, you know, will work for our employees, because as long as you're reporting it, it's good. You can say you followed procedure, you know, and that's something that's pretty hard to prove unless, you know, they have very hard proof on that. But we have to make sure our reporting measures are right on. So, and everybody here is very experienced, and I think you know that, but the big thing we're having a problem with is even just the past weekend. I mean, people don't think if someone sends them early, we have to know. We have to know, because these contracts are so specific now. If you leave an hour early, they want to know why, and they want to know if you documented to the care manager, and they want to know if you told the people's family. And because we have some people that aren't in great sound mind and say, oh, you can go, you can go. They don't really want the services their daughter set up for them. We can't do that. Now, if they're insisting and getting belligerent, you call us, we'll say, yes, you can leave, we will document that. We gave you permission to leave because the client was unsettled and belligerent. Any questions on any of that? It's stuff you probably already know.
No, well, you know that case. Remember a few months ago, I wasn't there when the client fell, but it took me almost 6 hours to get the family member to send the person to the hospital, and then she wound up being there for almost a week.
That's why I was saying call 911. I don't care what he thought. It's hard, I know it's hard, but you say, I have to do this,
But I think I called somebody here.
or call us here, right?
Yeah.
Call us here and we'll call 911, and that's someone told me, but I said, call 911, call 911.
And he's like, no,
Because
just get her
sometimes they
walking.
don't, the
Yeah.
family member don't want you to
Oh,
call.
they don't want you to call, but I don't care, they're not the ones that'll be in trouble if it's not called.
Okay.
You know, it's my responsibility. So, you know, if you're not gonna call them, I'm here, I have to call them. Or if you feel uncomfortable with that, you say you have to call the agency. Call us and say he doesn't want me to call 911, we'll call. So we'll leave you out of that step, but you have to say you'll have to call the agency. But you don't want something terrible to happen to that person just because his son said so, because it's his mother. You're the worker there, and you're the professional, so you don't want that on your watch or our watch. I mean, and just think about that, that could have saved that person's life. Maybe the son, and we've had cases where the person wanted to go, you know, didn't really want to be rescued, no, but that's not our role. Our role is to do what we need to do. You know, we're not going to facilitate the family's wishes that way, because they're not the ones that are going to be suffering the consequences of that. I mean, they're hiring us, or the state's hiring us, or the county's hiring us to do a certain job, and you're so right. So many people don't want to go, but like I said, they don't have to go anywhere. That's why I say explain to them calmly. I need to call 911. You don't have to go anywhere, but they can make sure you're safe and get you to your bed or your chair where you're comfortable, not laying on the floor or whatever. And that, you know, you can get away with people that way, so they're not getting all panicked. Because a lot of older people, and it's especially that generation, feel if someone comes in, like the police comes into their house, they'll never return to their homes again. They think if someone takes me, I'm never going back, and that's not true. There's laws, and they can't take that person if that person has the will and determination to say, I don't want to go, I'm fine. but I've been in that situation at a client's home before, and the EMTs were, the ones that were there were very good. Because this woman was very smart, very strong will, but she had been on the floor for a couple of days by the time we got there.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going anywhere, get the hell out of here. I said, you know, she said, pick me up. I'm like, I'm not, I will offer you.
And some client, this pandemic, sometimes when you go, they want you to do what they need and leave.
Yeah.
They don't want to stay with you.
They don't. Call
Right
us.
now, yes.
I know there's a lot of people, especially in
Yeah.
Norristown, that are like that
Yeah,
for some
right now,
reason.
they don't want to see you. They want you to do what you need and out.
Right, and we can do that, but we have to do it the proper way. So we'll have to let first of all, usually those cases are options cases, correct? Usually most of them are county options cases.
The option order code is there on.
They're the 2 or 3 hour cases. A lot of them are a little scared, so they just want you to get in and do what you have to do.
Yeah.
But that's fine. They can call the county and say they want to cut their hours back. We can't control that. We're contracted to give them 3 hours twice a week. So if they don't want that, we can tell the care manager they're not letting us stay. That's why I said call us, because we can document she's not letting us stay. But if they want to change, they can just call the county and say, right now, because of COVID, could you cut our time back? This way we're not out of compliance and you're not put in that bad situation. And then we can schedule you there for the period that's approved and put you somewhere else. But yeah, I know, unfortunately, I know that's one of the hardest parts of your job, is you're put in these very uncomfortable situations between families and what we're contracted to do as an agency and what our expectations are from the state and the counties. And, you know, just let us know, please. You know, and if you don't get through to Kim or something, you can always call me, I'm always available, but there's a way to do that. But you need to say to them that, no, I'm not permitted to leave unless we get approval. Because we're contracted. So every 15 minutes or half an hour that we're not there, that we're supposed to be there, the auditor comes out here and I have to have notes and documentation in our electronic system of exactly why we weren't there and who we contacted. They want to know the contact person, what time it was, everything.
How about the private client? Private payment?
Private's the same way, but I tell the private people, don't do that, because the worker, we make their schedule dependent on those hours. So when you say, oh, you can leave early today, that's not fair to the
Or
worker.
come later.
We could have scheduled them somewhere else, and we've had a lot of people in private pay clients who've been very pissed about that, because they had their day planned. And here they're saying, oh, today you can leave. And, I mean, still let us know, because basically, they're not supposed to do that, not be charged. Because if they did that, we're still charged, because they have to give them, we're really good, some people say a week's notice, we only give them 24 hour notice to let us know, or 48-hour notice, because this way, now and then, they'll still be charged and you'll still be paid. We'll let you go fine, you'll be paid and they'll be charged. But we don't have that problem much more, because we pretty much made that clear in writing when we go out there, that they need to let us know, so they will be charged. And so, you know, and some people have been good, they're saying, today it's fine, I know we didn't give you notification, just please pay the work, and that's what we do. You know, but yeah, it's different, private's much different. But the options in state waiver cases are very, very strict, and just becoming stricter and stricter every time there's something more and more. So the reporting, and this is something we do really fantastic, by the way. There's a lot of really bad agencies out there, and the fraud in Philadelphia is just terrible. We've had the electronic visit verification, the Care Watch that you all done. They're making that mandatory. So everyone has to have that. It was supposed to be by October 1st, but with COVID now it's delayed till like January 1st. But every agency has to do that. I don't know what these Philadelphia agencies are going to do, because they've been writing slips that are fraudulent forever. So we're way on top of that, because we've been doing that for over 20 years, which makes us look good. So we're a reputable organization, and people see us as such. And like I said, it's been very difficult times for all of us, for the agency as well. You know, because we have a lot of people not taking services right now. Staffing is very difficult right now. You know, and everybody's a little emotionally upset and stressed because of work and because of family and because of COVID. It's just hard on all of us. So what I try to say is a simple message: just try to be nice to one another. At least we can still be a little nice, even though everything's so crazy all the time. Be kind.
Like when you went to your client in the morning,
and the client have to let you in, and she's sleeping, or she's in the bathroom,
Mhm.
or she forget to charge the phone.
Gotcha.
So, when you have time to get in, you can wait sometime like 45 minutes, 30 minutes before they let you in.
Oh, I know. We've had that happen frequently. So,
That's why I have client, when I go there, she's old. That's why I do the in and out, because I didn't clock on time. And sometimes when I get there, she need me in the bathroom
Right.
to help, so I forget. I said when I'm ready to leave, so I do the in and out.
mhm. Just so you make us aware of it. Because what happens, Amy, is that when you can't get in there, we've had this happen here too, in Abington. Some of these people live in the high-rise buildings and we just can't get in there and they can't hear when you're calling them. And we're there for a scheduled time and that worker needs to be paid. So they will call us and say, I'm here, but I can't get in right now, so that we know you're there and we can clock you in. You know, or ask you to clock in, but we can verify that you were there. We need to have the verification that you were there.
I
Because if-
always prove I'm there, and sometimes the phone have problem.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, this,
So, when-
just
when-
let us know.
I always,
Yeah, and that's the right thing to do. You have to let us know. It's good to let us know when you get there on your cell phone. Just say, I'm here but can't get in, so we know you're
even
there.
I saw the case worker there all the time. He came there, see me
Good.
there, but sometimes
Yeah,
not
it-
easy.
but it is very strict on us though, because there's so much fraud out there. I mean, we're not like that. But just let us know, really, that's really the most important thing, is to just say, I'm here, but you know the client, I can't get in. And if you can't clock out and you're having problems, you have to call us and say, I need to leave, but the phone's not working.
I always call.
Yeah, that's what you need to do. That's exactly what, that's.
But Marina and Bonnie and Sheila are able to back
And
you in.
if the client let the phone, like even you can, the person is on the phone, he neglect
Right.
you, he can't get up on the phone.
I know, and we tell them to
They
please,
tell you just
Yes.
wait.
yeah, we tell you
Yeah,
that to
they
please,
can, I am on a,
they
on
get
a
used to you and they think,
important
oh, just
call,
wait.
I am talking with my grandson, my daughter, my this, and they neglect you, they are in the phone, they
Yeah.
don't wanna leave.
Yeah, and they're used to you coming in, so they're kinda like, oh, she'll be all right. Just call us from your cell phone and say, I'm here,
Okay.
and you know, what we're supposed to do is really get client
And one
verification.
thing she
We can
always-
say, you know, Catherine's, she's there, and, you know, please let her clock in as soon as you
Mm-hmm.
can. So we're supposed to get like voice contact with the client to prove you're there. So just like I said, the most important thing to do is at least make us aware, call us. Like, don't tell us after the fact, because if somebody else is disputing that, then we don't, you know, we didn't know.
It
So, I
happened to
mean,
me yesterday. I was at the Ashburn building, and she said that she pressed the button. I talked to her, the people heard me in the lobby, but she said, I'll buzz you up, but the buzzer didn't work, and
It
Yes.
didn't work for me either with
yes,
her last
and
week.
but the people probably know me
Sometimes
already,
have problem.
Yeah.
but, and
yeah,
they
just so
let
you-
me
Yeah,
in.
just so you let us know, we understand this.
So yesterday I got in,
We
but
don't
sometimes
doubt
it's so
any of you,
frustrating.
it's just the process we have
But
to
with
go
that person, her fingers, I'm not surprised that if she
through. Right,
can't do it,
couldn't do
you
it.
know, yeah.
Yeah, and this is
But,
something we run across.
And usually, I've been going into that building for a while now, not often, but long enough.
Enough, yeah.
But now is nobody in the office, and that's the thing, because sometimes you used to knock on the door and they
Staff's
hear
been
you, they
extremely
come and
cut
say, okay,
down.
where you going, sign in, we let you in. But now they're not in the office, and if it's nobody in the lobby, then like,
Yeah, they've cut down on staff, everyone. The
Yeah,
thing is
sure.
that we understand all this, we never think it's you, but we have to get that call. Because the documentations, we can say, that person said, oh, she was never here, she didn't try to get in here. We can say, yes, we received a call at 8:29, she was due there at 8:30. And, you know, so we have documentation of the event. And that's just like with all incidents or anything, these aren't even incidences, these are just clock out things, which are, but they're considering that part of fraud prevention is the electronic visit verification, which we do at Carolage. I mean, so that's fraud prevention as well. So that's why punching in, you know, correctly is very important. But like I said, it's just for us that we can document. I love when someone comes to me and makes an accusation, I can say, oh no, here's all the documentation right here. And that's all they need. We had one complaint in Norristown once, and it was a while ago, but it was crazy. And thank God we had documented all this and all the times we tried it, and the son was just totally abusive. He used to leave a baby cage up so his mother couldn't get anywhere. It was really bad. And he was nuts at it, but he called the state on us, the state coming here unannounced, out of clear blue. I had no idea why, they don't tell you why. They just ask you for different charts. They won't say which one, they'll ask you for 10. Sure enough, they pulled that one chart and that documentation they had in there. And she was happy with it, so we were totally in compliance and left. But had we not had that documentation in there, it would be a long process and a
Well, the
fight.
picture, as they say, is worth a tons of words, so it's better
Yeah.
have one proof than,
And that's why schedules, sometimes they may get a little antsy and a little irritated because they have to document every call that comes in like that and everything, so. Yeah, I always try to say in these times we just be patient with one another. But you all do such a great job, and you're very well liked by your clients, but we still have to follow these protocols. Claudia, anything to add?
Well, I don't know. I think we need to open it to some of your own experiences, because you've all been with us long enough that I'm sure you have had situations where it was going through your mind. And what Kim and I both need, absolutely, is to be able to talk to you about it. Because if you're seeing something and then someone else is seeing it, we're connecting the dots. Then we're adding that it wasn't just an afternoon, a stressful afternoon, a certain situation. I'm in a situation right now where a waiter client, where the daughter and the client are really at odds. They've been having absolute fights and tears and everything else, but I've been involved in the case, and my team members have been involved in the case for some time, so we're seeing the whole issue. So it isn't that just the mother is right and the daughter is wrong. And that's what's so important, that we get a chance to state the facts. When I had my heart attack in the spring, I was put on a blood thinner. And so all of a sudden, you know, I'm seeing not freckles, and I'm saying, well, I didn't really bang into anything, you know, what's that? And so we have to be careful not to jump to conclusions, because nobody's beating me up. I did try to do some gardening Saturday a week ago and went at it too much, so I paid a price. But we also have people that have chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and they've been on steroids for years. And you know that you're gonna see the purpura. You also know that on an old lady like me, you have no more fibrinogen in your skin.
you don't have
Tissue.
to be old. I don't even know where this came from.
Oh, okay. So there.
Because
So
you
there.
do what you do, you don't, and I'm like brushing my hair, where did that came from? I have no idea.
So what are you asking the
Okay,
attention
so
to
what
report?
is important is that if you're seeing something more dramatic
Unusual.
and more specific, and it's making you say, oh my goodness, it looked like somebody really grabbed her arm. Because I had a case where I had an elderly lady and the skin was removed totally. I had another case where an excellent home care aide that I was working with had been drawing the 92-year-old lady's legs, and a piece of skin had come off. And I knew it was no abuse. I knew exactly how easily that could actually happen with the patient that we both knew. But when the skin was removed totally from the arm, no, I knew that somebody had really grabbed her hard. So you're experienced. If there's something that you're seeing and you're beginning to be unsettled about it, then talking to Kim and I about it, we're making unannounced visits in the home, and we can put together the information more carefully so that if we feel we do need to move ahead with the report. But I've had cases where I've called Protective Services and the conditions have been really bad, but the client is designated as clear of line. And so she was never removed from the home. So I gave you the one sheet on the fact that in Pennsylvania, there is self-determination. So if we're not talking about something that has dementia, and she is then saying, when anybody makes the inquiry, then really it makes it very difficult. But the documentation is extremely important for us, because what happened in that case was when she finally went to Abington Hospital for about the third or fourth admission, they didn't release the body. So had there been any further investigation that involved us, because we were there under option caring for her on a regular basis, the documentation would have been there. The emails that I repeatedly gave and shared with the case manager back and forth. So, and the doctor had actually said she was non-compliant and would not care for her any longer, would not make any other home visits. So we do the best we can. Your heart is in this, or you wouldn't have been with us all this time. It really is, our mission is to help people stay in their own home or apartments, and you have genuinely done that. And sometimes under very rewarding circumstances, and sometimes under very difficult ones. So we do thank you. But we know that abuse and neglect is just extremely important, because you may be the one that really does detect it, that there's nobody else that's going to be, feel responsible and do something about it. So all of us very much appreciate that we are an absolute team together. So if there's anything that you're, unsettled about, I have one particular client right now that we're throwing the food out, which bothers us when we know there's need. But he prefers to have a jelly sandwich and doesn't want to eat like Meals on Wheels at the moment, And if somebody's in their 90s, it's kind of hard to force them, So again, we do the best we can. So in this situation, we're actually trying to make sure that he's not drinking milk that's 2 weeks old and getting diarrhea. So our responsibilities can be different depending on the cases, but we do want to thank you.
Any other questions? Kim, any comments?
Not
Yeah, we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, and just thank you so much. We appreciate you sticking with us for so long and doing such great work. Like I said, it's just not great work, it's talent. People think, oh, anybody can do this work. That's so untrue. People can't even take care of their own here. You can take care of strangers, and that's just really commendable and a really admirable quality. And I think it's good for the soul to be that way. So we thank you, and I guess the abuse and neglect, if there's ever any questions, call us. We gave you some handouts. And just remember, reporting is the big thing. To report to us. Thanks, we have a drawing, I believe. Thank you, Brandon.
Yes, we're supposed to get the info with Sister Chris. The peaches are from the orchard, and I know they're awful tiny.